Who's ready to do a little running? Welcome to the rundown. You found us, son. Welcome to Prepper Nation. And look, finding us in 2023 ain't the easiest task here on YouTube. I'm just saying. Thank y'all for watching, for shooting a thumbs up, for subscribing to the channel, which helps other people find Prepper Nation here on YouTube. This is the rundown. This is y'all's show. These are your comments from this morning. And we get into them. I do read every single comment. I try to pick out the popular ones and stuff like this. And so here we go. This morning we were talking about October the 4th. Should we be worried about this universal test that is going to hit all of the connected devices, cell phones, radios, TVs, and things on October the 4th, tablets, and all this stuff? So let's go with the live crowd first, because what I do is I watch the chat replay of the live crowd, and then I go back in and I look at the replay crowd comments. So, not giving preference here. It's just how I write them down. U.S. Patriot, 10-4, October the 4th, is just another test for something bigger. That's exactly where I'm at with that as well, brother. I think that they are, as I said this morning, they're laying groundwork. I believe the U.S. government either anticipates or has something scheduled maybe that is going to be much, much bigger. Stick around to the end of this stream, because there was a comment that was left that I went in and I looked at and I said, oh my God, this might actually be something bigger. Okay, so stick around if you can, but kind of scary when I think about it. So 10-4 is just another test for something bigger. Wouldn't it be nice to know what that something bigger was, because we can't prep for every single scenario and situation that's out there. We don't know what kind of shtf is coming. I think most of us agree, although I had a comment this morning where they disagree. They basically said, nothing's ever going to happen. There's not going to be an shtf, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever, man. But most people, most rationally thinking people, understand that at some point we are going to get just totally tidal waved with some sort of shtf event. And it just I don't know how to really explain this, U.S. Patriot, but it just feels like it's close. You can feel the water on your face a little bit, the droplets of the tidal wave that's getting ready to hit. Problem again is we don't know which one it is. We don't know if it's going to be related to war. We don't know if it's going to be related to the C-19. We don't know if this has to do with illegal immigration / martial laws, riots, the election. It's crazy. All we can do is be as prepared as possible. All right. Um, so good comment. Simply Tony, who had an excellent live stream this morning, by the way. The music, I told him, I said, it feels like I'm sitting at a table at, like Olive Garden waiting on my pasta to come. He asked the question this morning, is this the October surprise? So normally in an election cycle, I think that would be next October, right before the election. Something that if people are on the fence about voting one way or the other is going to shift them one way or the other. But you never know. Again, I have no way of knowing for sure what's coming in October on the 4th with these alerts. I would just encourage people to be prepared, out of caution. All right, not out of panic, but just as a measure of caution. Loretta Houch, October the 4th is just a test, but what happens next? Again, that is the trillion-dollar question, not even the million-dollar question anymore, because we've printed so much money, $1 million, man, that ain't nothing. It's just a test. I'm with you on that. But what happens next? And when? When does this event come? Um, how far away beyond the test? Now, it could be on the 4th. but I don't wanna spread a lot of fear and stuff like this. To me, I go back to this morning's video, I don't think that globalists are brazen enough to say, especially if it's a black swan type event. Let's take a look at, September 11th. I don't see where they would have set up an alert system and said, "Hey, at 8:00 AM on September the 11th, 2001, we're going to alert everybody. Be ready for this, okay?" And then that happened. Usually, especially if it's gonna be a false flag event, it needs to look random, not orchestrated to keep the zombies asleep, and it needs to be catastrophic. And hopefully, we don't have a catastrophic event in the near future. But again, if we do, please be prepared for that. Caitlin, England, I worry because I fear for my kids' future. So I was telling people this morning or asking them, I can't tell y'all what to do. Y'all adults here, son. But I was pleading with people, don't panic. Do not panic. And I've said this before, do not live in a constant state of fear. Now, Caitlin, England, there's no shame in that comment. You're a good parent. Sometimes I sit around and I don't fear it, but I worry about the future. What is the future going to look like for my kids? I try to prepare as best as I can. I try to make sure my kids understand. I don't get into graphic detail on things, but I let them know what's going on. My daughter, who is older than my son, she knows about Marxism. I've explained it to her. I said, honey, they're trying to install communism. And I explained, what that looks like compared to what we have now. And I just make sure that she knows a lot of the stuff that's going on right now is by design. And I'm like, Your daddy's not crazy. Your mommy's not crazy. This is why we have extra stuff. This is why mommy's trying to grow stuff outside, although we have backed way off since the weather's gotten cold on that. Um, but again, I worry because I fear for my kids' future. Don't fear. All right, that's the advice I have for you. Don't fear. It's okay to be concerned. Concerned is a much better word because concerned to me is thinking about it rationally, but also being concerned, if that makes sense. You're focused on the right things. You're thinking about your kids, and that's applaudable, and that's awesome. Just, don't live in a constant state of fear and panic, which is hard to do. I see the same YouTube videos y'all do oftentimes. Very hard to do. I get it. But at some point, that can negatively impact not only your thinking, but your physical health and put a lot of stress on you. You just don't want to do it. Excuse me. Somewhere in WTX, is it possible that they will ping everything? And I'm paraphrasing because it was a long comment. Is it possible that they're going to ping everybody and the stuff that doesn't ping back, those folks are going to be labeled or put on a list of maybe preparedness? I did not think about that until I read your comment, and I backed off and I said, "Okay, it's not it's very possible. It's very possible that if we don't ping back or we don't accept whatever pops up on the screen, that we're going to be placed on a certain list." But to that, I would say we're probably already on them anyway, most of us. If you're on any sort of prepping channel online or speaking conservatively in any way, shape, or form online on any platform, Google, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, you've probably already been put on several lists. So I wouldn't worry too much about it, but it does beg to question, are they about to escalate things? That's the concern for me. And finally, US of Aaron. What's the point of scaring people? And I think hopefully you weren't scared by this morning's video, brother. I think he's talking about, the other videos that have been popping up, and they use, like, bright red screens, and they're like, "Alert, stock this now before October the 4th," stuff like that. So what's the point of doing it? Oh boy, huge topic. I'll try and nip it in the bud, as Barney Fife would say, and make this very quick. So, you are a consumer. I'm a consumer, right? Most of us are. And if you're not, God bless you. You're doing it the right way. Most people are consumers. Companies are trying to get their product in front of you because they want your money. They used to do this via television. It started, I think, with laundry soap ads or whatever back way on back, and it's transitioned now. Uh, the world has changed, and everything is moving online or has been moved online, and so TV and radio is not the place to advertise anymore. It's on YouTube. And this is why, number one, this is why you see so many advertisements on YouTube. I see them too. Number two, this is why you see a lot of channels pushing fear. Because, good Lord, because again, when people are panicked and they're fearful, they make bad financial decisions. This is what I was on here this morning saying, don't do that. Don't buy the $4,000 generator that you saw in an infomercial 20 seconds ago. Keep it, let it marinate for a few months, process it, and then ask yourself, is this a good purchase? Because it might be. You might need that $4,000 generator, but it's not an impulse buy. And what happens is these companies, they will contact creators. Lord knows they've contacted me many a times, and they will say, we'll give you we'll give you X amount of merchandise. You'll make whatever it is, 8%, 10% commission. And I'm not crapping on channels that do this, by the way. Do whatever you want to on your channel. Again, I'm just answering your question here. And then the creators understand, okay, if these people are smart. They understand if they whip you up into a panic, you're more likely to buy the product. Right? The company's happy. YouTube is happy because they want creators like this. The creators are happy because they're putting money in their own pockets. And this is one of the many, many reasons that creators like myself uh, are thrown down into the basement because we don't want to do this. I hate I hate to watch these infomercials on prepping channels. And outside of BattleBox, I refuse to do them, and I don't make any money with BattleBox. They're incredibly nice people. But if they say, "Hey, we're not sending you free stuff tomorrow," I'd be like, "I'm good with that," because I don't really particularly like filming the videos and getting on camera and sounding all commercially. So anyway, this is why they scare people. Revenue, to answer your question. So anyway, let's jump over now to the replay crowd. American Family Now. This system could be hacked. It was a very long post, but that was the meat and potatoes of the post. American Family Now was basically saying the system that they have designed now that hits everybody all at one time could potentially be hacked. And if the government can harvest your information in a two-way conversation, if the right hacker group got a hold of this or got their claws inside of this thing, they're stealing everything at one time. And I mean, it's an excellent post because that's a very, very dangerous thought. Um, because most of our lives are online now, right? So good comment. Selling solo. We need a good SHTF. I'm not going to argue with you on that. I'm sitting here and I got the whatever it is, the little cartoons on each shoulder, right? Part of me does not want to see an SHTF. I don't want to see the tidal wave hit because I know people are going to suffer and I don't really want that. But on the other hand, on the other shoulder in this case, I'm like, if we had a good old fashioned tidal wave hit, proverbially speaking, at least, if we had a really good SHTF hit, just a hard hitting, undeniable event, this would force people to pull their heads out of the sand and kind of go into survival mode, so to speak. And you would think selling so low. With the pandemic and Biden economics, you would think with these two SHTFs, this would be enough. But it is amazing to me how many people still got that old head in the sand. Maybe it feels good on the scalp. I don't really know. And trust me, I don't have hair. I would know that feeling if I had my head in the sand, but maybe it's time for something like that to wake people up, because when you have a sobering event like the pandemic, like D-Day, or Pearl Harbor, I should say, like 9/11, people seem to snap out of this coma, this social coma that they walk around in. So great comment. Z Kali, I think I'm saying that right, disagreed with me this morning, and that's okay. Again, I welcome disagreement. They're very respectful. I disagree. There has to be a reason for the suspicious timing, and it gives me nervous vibes. And again, that's okay as long as you're not in a constant state of fear and panic. As a matter of fact, the nervous vibes and that gut feeling, as we've talked about, these can be an asset. This is another reason just to be prepared, just in case. All right. Not stacking stuff to the moon and beyond out of fear, but just going through and saying, hey, are we low? Are we kind of low on rice? What's the powdered milk look like? Son, how much peanut butter do we have? Are we good on grid down? Stuff like this for the just in case. And so there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, totally disagree with me. I'm an optimist on October the 4th. I don't think anything major is going to happen then, but I do see it coming soon after the fact. Um, barbecue. I think this person's name was just BBQ. Um, no longer a list person, because I was talking about how important lists were and not impulse shopping. But they go on to say they're buying whatever's on sale right now, and then they're meal prepping around that. And I understand that. I do. Uh, we nail the sales papers and things, and our list is actually created a lot out of what's on sale here, Food Line, Food City, what does Walmart have on sale, this sort of stuff. I was talking about prepping and the meal preps. Again, I understand that you got to save money. I'm talking about long-term storage and stuff. So absolutely. If you catch soups on sale, for example, buy it when it's on sale and stack that stuff to the rafters, as you can afford to do it. But I totally get your comment. You're thinking week to week on meals. What am I eating on Tuesday? What am I eating on Wednesday? There ain't no shame in that. Everybody, I think right now, at least here at Prepper Nation, is hurting because of the food inflation and the shrink inflation. It's real. People will argue in the comments and say, "Well, it's not that bad." I had a comment this morning. They specifically noted that they were in California, and they said, "No They matter of fact, they said Prepper Nation's not growing because," and I'm paraphrasing, "because people see that no SHTFs are coming, and I'm in California, and yeah, we got food inflation, and yeah, gas is higher, but whatever. The world's still the same." And I'm just thinking, keep your butt in California then. If you're living your best life, you're living it. Live it up. Go out and surf or whatever they doing in California, son. But for most of Americans, we're getting killed financially. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe California should be its own country, because it doesn't seem like you're living in the United States. And as far as the growth here at Prepper Nation, I'm fine with it. I left a comment on one of the posts this morning, the replay crowd, and I said, I don't look at subscribers as numbers. This ain't a numbers game for me. These are people that hopefully they're people. There might be some lizards out there watching. Who knows? But hopefully they're people. And I understand they're people. And I left a comment somewhere. I don't remember where this morning. Um, and I said, I would rather have the crowd that we have and then be real people, honest to goodness people, than I would have a million passerbys just glancing in. To me, that's an empty number. I mean, that means nothing to me. Lisa Devine, this is what I would like to see from all prepping channels. Thank you for that comment. Need to stop talking with our heels up. Woo! That was loaded on the back end, Lisa. So absolutely, we're not defeated. We're not dead yet. Us conservatives, us nasty conservatives and independents and preppers. Um, but getting back to it for a second, I do believe that there's a tidal wave of something coming, and I do believe it's going to hit. And when it hits, it's going to be catastrophic. And that doesn't mean the end of our country. That just means I hope people are prepared for that. Because you can survive it. All hope is not lost. But when it gets here, people that were not prepared, either prepping wise or mentally, they're not going to be able to survive it. Just my opinion. Tina Mitchell. Oh, yeah, this is not a good one. Worried that October the 4th is a distraction. It was a longer post, distraction from something else. In other words, Tina Mitchell is worried not because of October the 4th, not because of the alerts specifically, but that at that time, something else is gonna be happening in the United States, and the government is trying to take everybody's attention all at once and move it, away from what is actually happening, which brings us to another comment here in a minute because, Tina Mitchell, you lined up with Megan here, but I'll get to Megan's comment in just a second. Night of the Living Prepper. The NSA collects this data every day. You know, Night of Living Preppers saying, what's the big deal? They collect it every day anyway, and they do. You're absolutely right. The issue is, it, for example, if they're collecting it on Facebook, they have to go through Facebook to get these lists. If they're collecting it from Google, they got to go through Google. They got to run these routes. So during the time of these alerts, they're going to be casting a broader net. It's going to be this all at once data harvesting type of deal. And that's the concern with a lot of people. So the last comment, the one that I was worried about, and to Tina Mitchell's point here, Megan Donahue, the NYCPD is mobilizing on the 4th, October the 4th. Could be connected, immigration maybe. So I said, "Oh, I've not heard of this. What in the world's going on here?" And I researched it a little bit, and sure enough, the mayor of New York City has already announced a strategic plan. So something is going on with the police department in New York City, a mobilization of sorts. I don't know what the exact number is, how many or anything like that, but on October the 4th. So very, very suspect timing, if you ask me. So again, I wouldn't panic over that, but I didn't know that. Thank you, Megan. Head on a swivel, continue to prep rationally. Y'all let me know what you think in the comments. God bless y'all for being here.